Hello and welcome to another episode of China Record. The news headline is that Apple, the company that makes the iPhone, is moving some of its factories or assembly lines out of China due to the economic war between the US and China. The media said that India or countries in Southeast Asia may benefit from the move. And of course, Apple started producing its new iPhone in India since the iPhone 13. But you know, some parts of the iPhone or Apple's products are still produced and assembled in China. And it may be bad news for you if you don't like Apple's products that are assembled in China. Surprisingly, the vast majority of the iPhone 15, the latest iPhone model, was assembled in China. You may ask why. I will try my best to explain. The move for goods. On September 26, 2022, the first news about Apple making iPhone in India was published by Beebom. The article reported that Apple had begun assembling its flagship iPhone 14 in India at Foxconn's factory in Sriperumbudur, Tamil Nadu. This marked a big shift in Apple's manufacturing strategy, as it looked to diversify its production away from China. The article also cited analysts who predicted that Apple would move around 5% of its iPhone production to India in 2022, and up to 25% by 2025. The article was titled, "Apple Starts Making iPhone 14 in India." And on September 2023, as reported by Bloomberg, Apple is set to make India-built iPhone 15 units available to purchase in India and some other regions on the first day of sales, arriving at the same time as the China-made ones for the first time. While the vast majority of the global iPhone 15 stock will still come from China, this milestone highlights that Apple's attempt to scale production in India is finally bearing fruit as it moves away from its reliance on Chinese-based manufacturing. Apple first started assembling existing generations of iPhones in India back in 2017. Apple is aiming to produce 25% of its iPhones in India by 2025. Since 2020, Apple has produced its flagship iPhones in India, where it lagged the onset of production in China. That gap, once up to 9 months, was reduced to just weeks for the iPhone 14, with Apple now producing 7% of its iPhones in India. The company is expecting to increase that figure to 25% by 2025. Though Bloomberg claims that India-built devices could still experience delays due to unforeseen logistics bottlenecks. But why India? In recent years, Apple has faced some challenges in its manufacturing strategy, as it relied heavily on China as its main production base. The trade war between the US and China, the COVID-19 pandemic, the rising labor costs, and the human rights issues in China have all posed risks and uncertainties for Apple's supply chain and profitability. Therefore, Apple has decided to move some of its iPhone production to India, a country that offers many advantages and opportunities for the tech giant. One of the main reasons why Apple moved iPhone production to India is to reduce its dependence on China and diversify its production locations. According to a 2020 New York Times report, Apple CEO Tim Cook said that Apple parts are produced at U.S. electronics manufacturer Corning's factories in Kentucky and Texas, but the phones are mostly assembled in China. The report also stated that Apple has moved some of its assembly to India and Vietnam to avoid the impact of the trade war between the U.S. and China, which imposed tariffs and restrictions on imports and exports of goods and services between the two countries. By shifting some of its production to India, Apple can avoid the tariffs and also gain access to a large and growing market of smartphone users in India, which is expected to reach 1.1 billion by 2025. Another reason why Apple moved iPhone production to India is to take advantage of the lower labor costs and the favorable policies of the Indian government. According to a 2020 Reuters report, Apple's manufacturing partner Foxconn planned to invest up to $1 billion to expand its factory in Sriperumbudur, Tamil Nadu, where it assembles the iPhone XR. The report also cited sources who said that the investment was part of a quiet and gradual production shift by Apple away from China. The report also mentioned that the Indian government had offered various incentives and subsidies to attract foreign manufacturers, such as a production-linked incentive (PLI) scheme that provides a 4 to 6% cash incentive on additional sales of goods produced locally over 5 years. By moving some of its production to India, Apple can reduce its production costs and also benefit from the government's support and incentives. A third reason why Apple moved iPhone production to India is to improve its brand image and reputation in the global market. Apple has faced some criticism and backlash for its reliance on China, where it has been accused of exploiting cheap labor, violating human rights, and contributing to environmental pollution. For instance, in 2012, a New York Times article exposed the harsh and unsafe working conditions at Foxconn's factories in China, where workers were subjected to long hours, low wages, and frequent accidents. The article also revealed that Apple had ignored or overlooked some of the problems and violations at its suppliers' factories. By moving some of its production to India, Apple can show its commitment to social responsibility and ethical business practices, and also appeal to the consumers who care about these issues. Apple made China the backbone of its iPhone assembly. One of the main reasons why Apple made China the backbone of its iPhone assembly is the availability and efficiency of the Chinese manufacturing network. According to a 2022 CNN report, Apple has relied on a vast manufacturing network in China to mass-produce the iPhone, iPad and other popular products found in households around the world. The report also stated that Apple has a close relationship with its key assembly partner Foxconn, which operates the world's largest iPhone factory in the Chinese city of Zhengzhou, also known as the iPhone City. The factory employs over 300,000 workers and can produce up to 500,000 iPhones a day. The report also cited analysts who said that China offers a large and skilled labor force, a well-developed infrastructure, a sophisticated supply chain ecosystem, and a strong government support for the tech industry. These factors have enabled Apple to achieve high quality, low cost, and fast delivery of its products. Another reason why Apple made China the backbone of its iPhone assembly is the access and growth of the Chinese market. According to a 2023 Business Insider report, China is Apple's second largest market after the US, accounting for about 15% of its revenue in 2023. The report also stated that China is home to more than 1.4 billion people, many of whom are eager to buy Apple's products as a symbol of status and wealth. The report also mentioned that Apple has invested heavily in expanding its presence and influence in China, opening more than 50 stores, partnering with local carriers and platforms, and launching services such as Apple Music, Apple Pay, and iCloud. The report also quoted analysts who said that China is a key driver of Apple's growth and innovation, as it provides a huge and diverse customer base, a rich and dynamic culture, and a competitive and challenging environment. Thank you for watching my video on China Record. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. Your support means a lot to me and encourages me to bring more new episodes. If you liked the video, please don't forget to leave a comment and share it with others. Stay tuned for more exciting content.